Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal. Joining you on Friday, the day after that game last night. I was going to say defeat, but it wasn't a defeat, obviously it was a draw, but it certainly feels like a defeat. Apologies, this is just going to be a miserable video, I'm afraid. It was all or nothing last night, and in the end Arsenal got nothing. They deserved to get nothing because they were poor once again. I don't want to go too much over the game because you've all seen it. No one wants to hear me rattle on about the match itself, but I want to talk about kind of the fallout from it, really, what Mikel's been saying. He's been speaking again this morning. Obviously, I'm sure you saw his press conference last night after the game. He's been speaking again this morning, so I'll just go over some of what he's had to say on top of all that and just explore really what happens now, because this is going to be a big post-mortem for Arsenal. No European football next season, barring a miracle in these last 4 games. In the Premier League, no European football the first time in 25 years. Arsenal on course now to finish, have their worst 2 league positions since 1995, both under Mikel Arteta. And, you know, there's absolutely justifiable questions being asked right now about him, and is he the man to take Arsenal forward? And I don't think he could have any complaints whatsoever if this morning he got a phone call from America, from the Kroenkes, saying, sorry Mikel, your job's done. Thanks for your efforts, but we'll move on. I don't think that will happen, and I'll get onto that later on in the video, but he could certainly have no complaints if that was to happen, because, yes, he won the FA Cup last season. He got a little bit of credit for that, or got quite a bit of credit for that, but that credit has absolutely been and gone now, and you know, this season's just been an absolute disaster. It was all or nothing last night in the Europa League. That was the chance of salvation. Failed miserably to take it, and a lot of it is on Arteta. Yes, the players underperformed, but Arteta mismanaged that first leg so badly, and then yesterday failed to get the players up for a semi-final, which is just it's the worst thing. So I don't want to go on too much about it because this is going to do my head in. But you know, just a failure. There was no desire, no drive yesterday in that performance. It was so one pace. I just couldn't believe I was watching, especially in that first half. It's a semi-final, second leg, his season's on the line, and the manager couldn't get the players up for it, the players couldn't get themselves up for it, and that just speaks volumes about what's going on at the club at the moment. And it was just, it was soul destroying. It really was soul destroying, and I'm sure I know you all felt it as well. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about what Mikel had to say. Like he said immediately after the game yesterday, he said, we are devastated. We had so much enthusiasm and desire to be in the final. We knew how much it meant to the club and our fans and ourselves to be in that final and a chance to win a title and be in the Champions League. It's a huge blow. So he talks there about enthusiasm and desire. Did anyone see that last night? I didn't. I have to say there was no real enthusiasm and desire. I take Emil Smith-Rowe out of it, who I thought was good and certainly took the initiative, especially in the second half. There was no energy and desire in that team whatsoever. And then this morning he talked more about it. It was asked, how are the players feeling? That they feel hurt. And he said they do feel the pain. When you look at the state of that dressing room, it was sad because they put so much into it. They tried to go through every obstacle we had in this competition. This is a results-based sport, and an inch can define success or failure, and it happened. If that ball goes in from Orba yesterday, or the 2 other big chances that we had, we are talking about something different, but unfortunately you are not. With that same context, with the same conditions, with the same game, but a different result. This is what we have to accept, because unfortunately that's the beauty as well as the difficulties of this sport. Look, yes, Aubameyang hit the post yesterday. Yes, I still haven't watched the replays, don't know how that didn't go in. Given the spin on it, given the fact it hit the inside of the post, I don't know how on earth physics made that ball not go in the goal. It just looked like it had to. But that is not an excuse. The fact is Arsenal had 2 shots on target yesterday. Yes, they had a couple of big chances. Yes, Aubameyang hit the post, but they've got to create more. You know, if you're only going to create 2 or 3 chances in the game, you're not going to score many goals. You think in Arsenal's last 6 games at home, they've scored twice. They've failed to score 4 times, and that is because they are not creating enough chances, because you miss chances. It happens. It's football. You don't score many of the chances you create, even really good chances. It's hard to score a goal, so you've got to create plenty. And the fact is Arsenal are not creating plenty. They're creating very few chances, and that is why they're not scoring. It was, where was the Alamo yesterday? Where was that second half? Shot after shot, ball into the box, get the goal, find a way. But it was still so slow-paced and laboured and moved the ball from side to side. It was easy for Villarreal, absolutely easy. They barely broke sweat to get through. And that was the big issue. And that's why I've got an issue here, what Mikel's saying about, we're an inch away from the final. Yes, you're an inch away from the final, but if you created more and more chances, that one when you hit the post wouldn't have mattered, because you would have been able to hopefully take one of the others. But because you created so little, and you always create so little, that is why Arsenal are not scoring goals. And that is down to Mikel. Surely it's down to Mikel. These players are not very good. Let's say that. There's plenty of players who none of us would shed any tears if they went in this summer. Really, very few of them we would shed any tears about. But they are better than what they're showing at the moment, and that has to be down to the manager. He got the credit after the FA Cup win last season. Now he has to take the criticism, because he is not getting enough out of this group of players. It's just plain and simple. Talking about the sort of lack of progress, we said to him in a press conference after last night's game, where is the progress? Look at your league results. Look at out of Europe for the first time in 25 years. He said, obviously, looking at everything right now, it's going to be focused on that. I understand that. I'll leave it to you guys. And then today he was asked, no Europe. It's a downward trend. You've been 5 years outside the Champions League now. Now you're not even going to be in Europe. What's going on? He said, I understand those concerns, because when you're when you're not in the Champions League for 5 years, it's not just a casualty, it is a trend. There are facts to support that trend as well in defined years, how it was achieved in the Champions League. So there are things to change, that's for sure, but you are not going to accept it at this football club. I am not going to accept that, and the fans are not going to accept that. So we all have to push together to achieve something very different. He was asked, are you still the guy to do this? He said, yes, he is. So I asked him in the press conference last night, how are you going to pick the players up now? He said, I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't think I could do that. You will see it is not about talking, it is about showing it on the pitch. But we're not seeing it on the pitch. That is my big issue here. And I like Mikel. I've always been a supporter of Mikel. I kind of liked what I was seeing from him, certainly last season, but it is impossible to sit there now and just think that this is a lot of this season has to fall on his shoulders. How many games have Arsenal lost this season? How many times have they failed to score? How dull is the football at times? How underperforming are some of the players? And ultimately that comes down to the manager. So I can see he's saying the right things here, and he's accepting responsibility, and fair enough for that. But I'm struggling to see where Arsenal go under Mikel Arteta at the moment, and that is a real shame, because like I said, I like him, and I think he'll probably going to go on and he's going to be a good manager somewhere else. But I'm just struggling to see if he can do that at Arsenal. I think he will get time. I think it's unlikely that Arsenal are going to pull the trigger and sack him on this. But should they? They probably should, given the results that has gone their way. I think the one thing that's in his favour is Arsenal see this as a big project and a big rebuild, and they've really bought into the whole Arteta thing. They gave him the promotion to manager last season after the FA Cup win. Was that a mistake? Looking like it is now. But they're really invested in this project, and I think that's probably what keeps him in a job. And I think what also keeps him in his job is the fact that Stan Kroenke is the owner. And does Stan Kroenke, is he really too bothered about winning? Let's face it, he's not that bothered about winning. I don't think any other top six club, Mikel Arteta would still be in a job right now, but he is at Arsenal because of the owners that he have. Will that change? Will they still look at it in the weeks go by as we get towards the summer and think, do we trust him to spend the money this summer? Maybe not. So we'll have to wait and see. But I still think it's pretty unlikely that Mikel doesn't start next season as Arsenal manager. But one thing this absolutely does show us, it is going to have absolutely no room for error. If he does start as manager next season and it goes badly early on, then I can't see how he survives that, especially with fans back in the stadium as well. Because make no mistake, if fans had been in the stadium this season, his job would be a hell of a lot more difficult, because they would have made their feelings known about the results, but not just the results, about the performances as well. Sort of going back to what he's had to say this morning, he was asked, why are things going so wrong? Why are you on that downward trend that you spoke about? And he said, there are things... they are things to analyse more internally. I am sorry, we have done that. There are some things that we can't discuss here. I take full responsibility for my part. Since I arrived here, what I've tried to do, giving my life my best ability, invest in every drop of energy that I have emotionally to support everything that has been going around with my knowledge, with staff, with all the players that are trying to contribute with the club to give our best. But so far it has not been enough, and this is when question marks arise. Why is it not enough? Is it just a thing? Is it the manager? Is it many other stuff? What is it? and then this is football. Again, I repeat myself. Last night the ball goes in, we win 1-0. You're in a final and it's a different world, but today the world doesn't look very nice. Little bit of rambling there, I think, for Mikel. It doesn't really make too much sense when you look at it. It's no surprise that he's given these questions first thing this morning. Probably didn't sleep last night. I didn't sleep last night, so I can't imagine Mikel Arteta slept last night. And they're straight back in, straight in front of the camera, so it's going to be a bit of a difficult morning for him. But it's been a terrible night for Arsenal. It's been a terrible season for Arsenal, and last night was the kind of the defining moment, really. It was all on that, and Arsenal failed to get the job done. And the fallout, the post-mortem, it's going to be intense and it's going to be pretty brutal. We've seen the reaction on social media last night. There is not much support for Mikel Arteta. It's going to be really interesting to see if there's a protest on Sunday before the West Brom game. Certainly against Brighton is going to be interesting on that final game of the season at the Emirates when 10,000 fans are going to be allowed into the stadium. What is the reaction going to be like there to Arteta, to the Kroenkes? There was a lot of anger outside the stadium last night before the game at the Kroenkes with those fans that had gathered. There was anger after the game with the fans that were still milling around the stadium as well, and that is absolutely understandable because the performances and the results this season have absolutely not been good enough. Mikel was asking, job under threat thing. I think everyone's job is under security. Does he still have faith in his own ability? Yes, he does. He said, what I felt last night was a deep pain because the moment the club is in at the moment, with everything that it's been through, I had a feeling we could take the team to the final and it could be a great turning point. I felt that responsibility. I was so eager to achieve that because I knew it could be a defining moment. Not being able to achieve it has been really tough personally. I know that we have disappointed a lot of people and that really hurts because we want to give our best to everybody. But one thing I made clear is that to do what we want to do, I have no doubts that we are going to achieve it. If not, I wouldn't be sat here. So Mikel's still backing himself to turn this thing round, as you can imagine he would be. But ultimately, it's not down to him. It's down to others to back him. And it's going to be interesting to see how the summer unfolds next. And as I said earlier in this video, I still think it's unlikely that Arsenal make the change. I think he's still probably going to get the summer and the chance to turn things round, probably mainly due to the fact of who the owners are. And like I said, the fact they're quite invested, Arsenal, in this whole rebuilding project. The only issue is now that if Arsenal start badly next season, then I think the owners are going to know they're going to have to make a change. And so that begs the question of, do you give Arteta the money this summer to continue the kind of rebuild that is needed at Arsenal? Because if you give him the money, he buys the players that he wants to buy, and then suddenly it goes wrong at the start of next season, you sack him, then you're going to left with a lot of players who another manager has brought in, then you're going to have to bring a new manager in. Will he like those players? So it's a big decision to make. If the Kroenkes are going to make a change, then they should really make it right now. And then you give a new manager the entire summer to bring things in and to get his own points across. So it'll be interesting to be on the fly on the wall and hear the conversations that are being had at the moment. And out of all of this, I haven't mentioned him yet, Edu cannot escape the criticism for this. I've said before about my reservations about Edu. I think he had a good January transfer window in terms of getting the players out that he needed to get out and getting the loan deal in for Odegaard, which was a good deal at the time, although I thought Odegaard was poor last night. But on the whole, Edu, the absolute question marks about what he's doing at the club and this sort of effect he's having as technical director. So it shouldn't just be on Arteta at the moment, the criticism. Obviously, as a manager, so he's the one who's going to have to take the flak. But a lot of other people need to be criticised, especially the Kroenkes. Look, when Stan first arrived, Arsenal had just been in the Champions League final. Now where are they 15, 16 years later? They're not even in Europe. That is the decline that since KSC have arrived, Arsenal have gone like that in one direction, and now it's all come home to roost. They're not even in Europe anymore. So yes, Arteta needs to get a lot of the blame, but Edu, the Kroenkes, everyone, this is an absolute collective thing. This is Arsenal have been mismanaged terribly. They've spent awfully in recent years. They've dealt with contracts awfully in recent years, and it's all coming home down to roost. And this has all been done under the ownership of Stan Kroenke, and so he absolutely deserves everything he gets at the moment when it comes to criticism. The fallout from last night is going to be massive. You look at the summer, you look at the transfer plans in the summer, what's going to be happening. Arsenal have obviously had these plans written down for a fairly long time. They've known what they wanted to do. Now they don't have even European money to spend. They're in the middle of a financial crisis with money being lost lost hand of foot basically because of the lack of fans in the stadium. We still don't know when or how many fans are going to be allowed in next season. There's so much uncertainty, and you need to completely rebuild a squad. How are they going to do that? This is the time for the Kroenkes either to pay up or sell up, because ever since they've arrived, all the money that Arsenal spent, and it's been spent terribly, I've said that, but that money has been money that Arsenal have earned. They're out of money now. They don't have money. They're losing money. So there is no money for the club to spend unless they're going to get themselves even more in debt. If the owner is going to for once put his hand in his pocket, then he needs to do it this summer, because the club is in desperate need of investment, and it has to come from him because they've run out of money themselves. If he's not willing to do that, then sell up. You've got people who want to buy the club, sell up and let other people put the money in and show the ambition that this club needs now to get themselves right back towards the top. So the summer transfer plans are going to be really, really difficult now. There's no doubt about it. Arsenal want a lot of players. Mikel Arteta wants a lot of players. He wants a right back, he wants a left back, he wants a central midfielder, he wants a number 10, possibly even a goalkeeper. How are they going to do that with no money, with no European football? They need the owner now to invest. They need him more than ever to do that. He's never done that since he's arrived at the club. This is the time. This is the time to show that you actually want to bring success to this football club. So Stan Kroenke, if you want the fans to even remotely have a little bit of belief in you, this is the summer. You've got to do that. You've got to step up and you've got to show that you actually have some ambition and that you want Arsenal to be successful and not just a club where you're going to earn an investment off your share price increasing. I mean, there's going to be lots of players who can go in terms of bringing money in. You can do that by selling a lot of players. And I think we're certainly seeing the end of a lot of players now. You know, Bellerin, potentially Leno. I said that. It could well be that he heads out the door this summer. Bellerin, like I said, what do you do with Nicolas Pepe now? Is this do you give up on Nicolas Pepe, or do you try and get some of your money back and invest elsewhere? Alexander Lacazette, even Granit Xhaka. There's so many question marks about so many players. What do you do with Willian now? How can you get rid of him? Because he is just an absolute millstone around the club's neck now. Such a big summer overhaul is needed. There's so many players who can go. Eddie Nketiah, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Lucas Torreira, Matteo Guendouzi. I mean, you're talking about 10, 11 players there who could be sold at Arsenal. There's so many of them. And that just shows how huge a summer this is going to be for Arsenal. There's so much to sort out, and you've got a bunch of novices in there, and that's the big worry. You've got owners who really don't know anything about football. We know that. They've shown that by the way they've led the club over recent years. You've got a technical director who's an absolute novice, certainly when it comes to English football. You've got a manager who's a novice and beginning to look out of his depth. You've got no one on the board who has any real football quality whatsoever. You've got a chief executive who's a novice. It's really worrying times for Arsenal. And again, this has all been done under the Kroenkes' watch. They've allowed Arsenal to get into this position. And ultimately, again, they have to take all the blame for this for me. Quickly before I go, and I know I've rattled on, and I've probably lost all of you because you've all been too depressed and you can't be dealing with what I've had to say today, but I'm going to go over my player ratings from last night just for any of you who are remotely interested in it. Obviously not going to be too many of them that are decent. I'm going to give Bernd Leno a 5. To be fair, he had barely anything to do throughout. I'm going to give Bellerin a 6, Holding a 6, Mari a 6 and Tierney a 6. I thought the back four did relatively well. Fair play to Kieran Tierney, who was absolutely knackered after 10 minutes. Wasn't expecting to play, obviously, because of the injury to Granit Xhaka, but didn't stop working throughout. He was nowhere near as influential as he will be when he's fit, but I'm going to give him a 6 anyway for just the work ethic he put in to somehow get through for most of that game. I thought the back four did all right. Partey I thought was disappointing. At times he certainly did his job in terms of winning the ball back and interceptions. He topped all those charts in the stats, but again, you want to see a little bit more and really dominate that midfield. It wasn't helped by the fact he was absolutely isolated and surrounded by 3 Villarreal players, because Arteta had gone with that sort of 4-1-4-1 formation. In terms of the forward line, I thought Saka, 5 for Saka. Odegaard I thought was really disappointing. He got to 4. Smith Rowe was my man of the match. He got number 7. Should have scored, unfortunately, in that second half when he put that chip just wide. But he was the one player who really seemed to take the initiative and show a bit of bravery when he was on the ball. So he gets a 7. Pepe gets a 5. And Aubameyang gets a 5. I'm not even going to mark the substitutes. All right, everyone, that's it from me. Sorry for rattling on. Sorry for making your day even more depressing than it already is. Hopefully we can get this season done and dusted within the next few weeks, and we can start to at least look forward to next season, which, fingers crossed and touch wood, can't be as bad as the one we've just experienced. Till then, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. Forget about Arsenal for a little bit. It's Friday. Go out and get drunk tonight, have some drinks, and forget about football. It's nearly summer, the sun's out. Have yourself a beer or two tonight. Until then, everyone, have a good day.